Call to order the Foxfire Village Council monthly work session, December 29th, 2022. Let the record show that all council members are present, as well as members in the audience. Do we have any additions to the agenda? Okay, we'll start off with the first thing here, which is the after-action information. I asked each of you to look over or think about what happened during the outage and what we could have done better, what we did. And I have listed a couple of things that I thought maybe we should talk about or develop a plan to try to address this. But just quick bullet points. Communications was an issue. We didn't seem to have a list of vulnerable residents. We knew of one, but I don't know if there were any other residents that might have been. I talked to the chief about trying to resurrect that. If you have somebody, a neighbor or something, let the police department know so we can check on when we have adventures like this. So
They used to do that.
yes, they used to do
It
that.
just
People
it
didn't
faded away.
Yeah, people didn't register with it, but
No.
maybe we make a new effort to get that out, get the word out.
Well, that should be sent out by the town crier.
Yes,
He's
yeah,
gotta
we'll
do
have that
Yeah.
put out both ways. One of the things, we had questions about the pumps, the water pumps, and all of that sort of stuff. And I think now that we kind of know that, we want to put that in some sort of a format. So the next time this happens, somebody said, well, how long will the pumps last?
Yeah, we're getting all that data together. The maintenance, we're gonna contract, I'm sorry, you probably don't want to talk about all that, but we're on it. I don't have anything that I really feel comfortable getting out specifically, but we are getting a contract set up for our generators.
Okay.
We're gonna glom on to what the cops are using, the police are using today. We're gonna give them the same company. And then we identified an area that I talked about at the last meeting, which was specific to the relay for the water tower. So Jesse had to go to a 3-on, 3-off schedule throughout all of the blackout because that was not working correctly. Actually, it was working fine, just had no power.
Yeah.
So we're gonna figure out how to get power to that and get on a priority schedule with the propane people.
Oh, yeah.
Something we didn't really think about was if we should have, based on the fact that it is critical infrastructure, we should have a priority, and he's looking into that as we speak. And then lastly, I've talked with the chief, and what we're going to talk about are routine patrols. We never really thought about this stuff until all of a sudden this happened. So we're gonna actually take them on a tour, Jesse and I. We're gonna take them around to each one of the well sites so they can get comfortable with the sites. And then the chief and I are gonna talk about getting that into just a regular routine patrol. They should be out checking that stuff. And then lastly, of course, is security.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the comments that I had made, is security of the well sites and our vulnerabilities as a village, basically is the water.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah, we don't have other critical infrastructures, but we need to look at whether we want to put that fence around it and put a special lock on the doors with alerts if somebody tries to break in. Gonna probably cost money, but that in this day and age, I just don't know what somebody else is gonna do down the road.
Everyone is a target, really.
I have to agree with you. I think we should look at the fence and the locks.
Well, I think from my perspective, we have upgraded the doors. This was even before this happened. When I did my first tour with Jesse, we found that some of the doors were literally hollow core doors. And then 2 of our doors were incapable of being secured. Actually, I should say capable. They could be, but they were very vulnerable. So we've gotten those replaced with steel doors now.
Oh, good.
The issue, and again, the chief and I are gonna talk about.
Are those heavy gauge steel or residential steel?
No, they're heavy gauge steel, they were expensive, but that was kind of a no-brainer. so
Industrial,
I thought
of
it was-
course,
And then, you know, as far as, we have two of our wells that are, you know, basically protected by a chain link fence, and that's it. And, so, we're gonna figure out lighting, you know, do we need lighting
Yes.
up there, and what, if so, but the chief and I are gonna, work on that, and we'll get you more information.
Okay,
as we get-
perfect.
you know, so-
Perfect. Something that I didn't do is I didn't gather the team when we were doing this. We should have probably at some point had an emergency meeting, and then post the minutes afterwards.
Well, we didn't, I didn't even know that anything had happened, because
Yeah,
we
you
never
kept the
lost.
power.
We
Yeah.
never lost power,
Yeah.
so I never knew that anything happened, and until Sunday morning, when my husband went down to Pinehurst, and it's like,
No power.
whoa, what's going on? So, and there was even a time where cell service was out, so you wouldn't have been able to text, and so what do you do then? I mean, there should be, I mean, the police could obviously come and knock on our
Correct,
door.
correct.
And let us know.
Yeah, that becomes the backup mode if the cells don't work. And I should have probably called a meeting, because we know the police department has a generator, they have power.
Mhm.
So that would be our, if you will, emergency center. And I didn't do that, so that's something we gotta put in there to make sure that the next guy does that.
Mhm.
That's a good idea.
You gonna talk about a meeting room,
Pardon?
a meeting room where the people can come and get warm and.
Well,
hot
we
and
need to
hot.
talk about that.
You can't call it a shelter.
Can't call it a shelter.
And Lisa and I were talking about, this room right here is probably the
Probably the best
smartest
thing
one
we
we
got
got.
for it.
Furniture's already
It
here.
just, it becomes a,
What about the fire department building? That's a huge
No.
building.
but it's not heated.
It's
Oh,
not
is it?
heated.
It doesn't have a generator. It doesn't have a generator.
Does this have a generator?
No, but that's the thing we'd have to do. If we're talking about tapping off the one over at the police that they've got, if it's big enough to add on this also, if not, then we'd have to do a separate system.
Right.
But I just talked to the fire chief, he says, well, you know, maybe we should all get together and get one big generator, do the police here and the fire station. That's gonna be very
That
expensive.
is
but
It's
it's
fairly expensive, but,
But,
Something to think about, I mean,
yeah.
I wouldn't rule it out until we find
Yeah.
out.
well, I
What
think
it
it's get
is.
prices on it, because if we can do all three of that,
Maybe there's some grants that are
Right,
available.
Exactly,
I don't
exactly.
know, I'm surprised there isn't, and there may be some money associated
There-
with, because there was an emergency was declared. I don't know what that means necessarily, but I know that there's funds that sometimes are wrapped up in that, right?
And we should be able to pursue that with our grant writer and see if there's anything.
we'll have to talk to the police
We
chief,
can find out.
he's got, he knows who the writer is, and maybe they can
Yeah.
get some funding on
Get some
that.
funding on that.
Who wants to, do you wanna take that? You wanna,
I
you want
could
me
talk to the
to?
police chief about getting that person's phone number.
Okay.
I'll call her and see if she's got something that she could work with.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, so you'll take care of that, okay.
But anyway, Lisa and I talked about this place right here, we got the furniture,
Mhm.
it's enough space.
If we can get power,
If we get a generator in here to get the power, that way the offices are working also. The village hall would be 100% usable under the generator. So our government wouldn't be shut down.
right,
People can warm up, maybe give them some water. People can bring in some food if they need it, you know.
we did offer Pinehurst the ability to come up here and use our Wi-Fi system and our electric system once we got power back. And they, I don't believe they took advantage of that, and also First Health, we were asked if we could have doctors come up and use our Wi-Fi, and we authorized them to do that. But again, I don't know if anybody did. Okay, the other comment that I had is probably each key member here should make up their own list of things that they should do in an emergency situation, not only a power situation, but storm situation. Have your own checklist, because nobody knows your job better than you do. Say, these are the things I gotta do. You know, Gary, you're checking your thing, you know, and, you know,
But it's good, I never thought about creating a checklist for the next guy.
for the next guy. Yeah, we wanna do this for the next guy, so we don't have to, he doesn't have to, or she doesn't have to reinvent it next time through. So I think that's pretty important, that if you get that together, get that checklist, get it to me, I'll put it all together in a packet that we can have as a standby for the next guy.
I'd recommend you keep that after action piece open until we can report back.
Oh, yeah,
I'd
yeah,
love to go over-
this is
Okay,
gonna be an ongoing thing, that
Okay,
we're
cool.
putting it together as we find out more things.
good, okay.
Okay. Okay, anybody has any other thoughts on the after action? Okay. The welcome packet, basically, everybody had a chance to look at that. I talked with Janet, and she's taken this on, and,
Thank you.
going to redirect that
Yeah,
from being FPOA oriented to village oriented. And she made a good point that perhaps we issue this when a certificate of occupancy is awarded.
Right, either the homeowner or the builder.
Homeowner or the
realtor,
builder.
Either one, yeah.
And they can take, the builder can take the package, put it on the counter in the kitchen
Yep.
or whatever. And I also,
Have some, we should probably put some in the lobby.
Yeah.
we can have some spare sitting out.
That's why I said
in the
that, yeah.
lot. Absolutely.
but Don had a good point about the license plates. There's always a license plate in the packet for the village.
Oh, are they still doing that?
Yes, but Don, I like Don's idea, that they revise their packet to say if they want a license plate, they come to the village, so that they realize it's the village who's paying for these license
Right, good
plates, so
idea.
I like that
Plus you
idea.
can introduce them to the
Yeah,
village
yeah.
and they can meet Lisa and
Exactly.
Yeah,
Lisa.
Yeah, when my wife and I did the welcoming committee, that's what we did. We had a form, we filled out and gave it to them to bring in to Sharon.
And explain the ordinances.
Yeah, that's the whole purpose of getting the
Yeah.
ordinance.
That's a couple hours worth.
Right.
That's the whole thing, so,
But it is a good idea to be able to say, this is where our ordinances are, because
Yep.
it really is a simple tool to use.
yeah. Just gotta let
Yeah.
people know that
So you
we
just
do
need
have
to know it's
ordinances.
there, yeah.
We do have ordinances and where to find them.
yep.
Okay, any other thoughts on that? What kind of timeline are you thinking?
Well, we can work on it, what's next week? I don't know if I'm gonna jam her up next week after
By the
she's back.
by the end of January, maybe?
Yeah,
Okay.
easy.
Any other thoughts on that? If you have ideas, comments,
Are we
get
gonna go
those to
through here?
Janet.
Are we gonna go through here?
No, I'll go through it with Lisa.
Well, one thing on the television cable service, you might wanna add this to the TV cable service.
Wait, what page are you, oh, television
Page
cable?
number 7,
Item
item
seven.
7.
Yeah, I got on there.
Okay, right now it says basically we got,
We're changing that to Spectrum.
Yeah.
yeah, right, but over and beyond that, there is T-Mobile internet here now.
No, yeah.
T-Mobile?
T-Mobile is in here, I got it myself, you have to check on your address and see if it's available to you.
Is that internet?
Yeah, it's just like Spectrum, but it's all wireless, there's no cables underground, nothing, it's strictly from the tower.
Oh, how's it doing for you?
Great.
What's this, what's that?
T-Mobile
T-Mobile internet.
Oh,
And cable is not available out where
Out
we
where you
are,
are.
so I don't know where it ends,
Oh,
but
really?
it's not all
All
throughout.
you gotta do is go on T-Mobile's internet site,
And they'll tell you.
you type in your address and your phone number, it'll click it, it'll say either you got it or.
No, I'm just saying,
That
I
it's not
think we should
available
make,
Grand Pines.
we should make a comment that it's
Not available.
very address specific, because
Correct. Oh, good
out
point.
where we are,
Good
there's
point.
no cable, and, we're on a different power grid even.
Right, even.
So,
But you might be able to get T-Mobile to check it out.
I'm fine
well,
with
there are
it.
a lot of options, right? I mean,
Yeah.
DirecTV.
Yeah.
Dish.
Yeah,
Dish,
lots of things,
there are a
yeah.
lot of options.
For internet, okay.
Yeah, we
You
didn't
have
wanna
those
get
comments,
this
get
too
those to
wordy.
Janet?
Yeah, this
We-
makes sense.
And
What's hardwired out here?
right.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yep, that makes sense.
And anybody that's hooking up any type of service is going online anyway, most often than not, to check and see if they
Correct.
get it.
They ask you that when you
Yep.
get on the website. Okay.
And the other thing, just on that number 7 too, it says here, while there are satellite dishes installed in the village, there are current restrictions on installations. I believe you cannot restrict installation of satellite dishes.
Not anymore.
No.
You can't,
No.
it's
No.
illegal, so that needs
We,
to.
we crossed that out already.
Okay, okay.
Well, it used to be, used to have a 9-foot dish.
Yeah, 9-foot dish sitting in your
Down
front
there.
yard. Yep,
Oh, yeah, I remember those days.
yes, that was the hot stuff.
Yeah, we made a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
changes already, so.
Okay, you have that ready for us to look at the work session in January then?
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Well, I was gonna ask a question, number 10, village government, on the second page where you talk about village organizations. Okay, you have planning and zoning board, board of adjustments, long-range planning,
Right.
and appearance commission. Okay, how many for each are we supposed to have? How many are we supposed to have at each of the boards?
I don't know offhand, I think it's 5 and
Do we need to
5
list
and
that?
7, I think.
It might be,
We don't need to list that.
don't know.
We
No.
just put down
Just
what
that we have them.
Yeah,
That we
okay.
have. Yeah.
No, but I'm asking, about right now, the appearance committee, we have 0.
On
Yeah,
the Christmas committee, we have
Well,
nobody
we have
volunteer.
authorization, but we just have not, and that's something I
That's
said I
Nobody
was
is
gonna
that
do.
volunteer.
No, that's pathetic, they don't wanna do
it's
nothing.
empty.
Well, nothing.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
That's the way it is.
I'm sitting here looking over here going,
Okay. All right, let's move on to the village pool update.
not much, other than we are going to have, what's the matter? Oh, you were
Not
just
much.
telling me.
No, yeah, you go ahead, take that one.
Okay, I'll take that. We hopefully have an appointment with Allison Abbott from USA Management on the 12th.
Okay.
Gary's gonna go over the water.
No, you can go over it. I mean,
Okay,
it's
I
really-
saw it on yours.
I know, but you got it.
Okay, well,
It's your baby.
I don't know if it's as bad as we thought it was. It doesn't appear that it was in terms of pool
Volume.
volume of water, but it's close.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not 60,000, but it
It's
is
not
40,000.
It may not have been 68,000, but we're still at 42,000 average, and that's from a hose. And Gary explained to me that the average home uses 3,500
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
a
about-
month for
Yes.
a $22 bill.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So, we know we have a leak, we're going to be addressing it, and that's gotta be,
Yep,
yeah. So that's all I can say right now.
marginally better.
What did we talk at all about to USA Pool that we might have a problem, or you have not talked to
When
them
she
yet?
comes down, I'm gonna go through that with her.
When's she coming?
I'm looking at the
January
12th,
12th.
unless she cancels again.
And the pool leak dude, or company,
Dude?
could be a dudette. But the pool leak company they're already scheduled to come here in the spring?
We're gonna schedule them up, yes.
Okay. Cause I think you said something like it has to be water
Water
drained?
No, we need
Water
water
in
in it for
Which
them
we
to
keep.
identify it.
Okay.
But we're still going to have to drain it
To fix it.
after that, so that
Fix it.
seam can get repaired, and there were some other repairs.
So if we know that we have a leak, do we have to really go through all that? I mean, we know that
Well, we
pool-
need to know where the leak
You have to have
is,
water and to know where the leak is, if
And-
it's flowing out.
and we need to fix the leak. We cannot continue to have
No, agreed.
42,000 gallons of water
Okay, so
going.
they have water sensors that they put out or something?
I have no idea what the
Okay,
procedure
I'm
is,
curious.
how
Gotcha.
they find it.
Dye or something, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to mention is that it's a lot of water, but quite frankly, it's been leaking for quite some time.
Oh, yeah.
Probably
And-
for several
and
years.
It may be. I think some of the stuff might have been kicking
Down
the
the
can
road?
down the road a
Yeah.
little bit, so I don't know. I can't.
That just
No,
bothers
we
me,
fixed that
the
whole pool
infrastructure.
5 years ago.
It just bothers me as far
What's
as the infrastructure of that pool, you know,
Underneath it.
how stable is it? If it's
Right.
leaking that much water, it's
Yeah, it
going
might be
somewhere.
undermined.
Well, and it's not leaking, I mean, it's not appearing alongside the pool, or you would notice it. I mean, I'm talking about the grass.
It's gotta be
It's
underneath,
gotta be underneath.
which is even
Integrity of the
worse.
pool.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
maybe.
That's what scares me.
And I will
is-
confirm that Jesse did walk, I mean, he spent a lot of time along the grounds trying to find a wet spot, a puddle, something.
I never
And it's
found
just
it
not-
this summer, and I was up there going around checking for ants and blah, blah, blah.
And that is disconcerting because if it's, we don't know what it's doing underneath that.
Right.
And hopefully,
Exactly.
hopefully it's just filtering down into our aquifer,
To the
we're really
sand.
using it, but.
Sand, that
Well,
be
okay,
chlorinated water.
Yeah, so, again, I didn't have too much to report, other than, we're gonna have a meeting, and hopefully she will work with us on that, and we'll go from there.
Do we have a date in March when these people, because we know we need them, so have we set a date that they're
I'll
coming?
get it scheduled up and see.
Because-
Well, and it'll probably depend on weather and so on and so forth, but
We need to make sure we're like
I'll make myself a
first
note.
on their list or something.
Yeah, I also would say that would should be a priority, because if it's gonna cost a significant amount of money to fix, we're gonna have a decision to make, and quick,
Oh, yeah.
right? Because if we're looking to open up, normally what, Memorial Day?
Memorial
Right?
Weekend.
And if we
We got a
don't
month
start
worth
till
of work
April,
for that.
that's gonna be tough.
Yes, it is.
Yep,
Alright, I'll get it.
okay. Anything else, Gary? I have one thing for you, is, I understand you did locate the wall site,
Yes.
and, is it marked somehow?
Yes.
Wandering through the woods, we can find it?
Yes.
And the next step, as I understand, there was gonna be a survey team out.
We're actually, because of the village's position as it relates to purchasing the property, we're gonna be able to delay that specific survey, because this is really gonna be all about platting or petitioning the land to be able to have us. But we've got the Public Works, the North Carolina Public Works people are coming out January 4th.
Okay,
And that's all, that's what we need
That's
to
the
get
next-
the drillers there.
Okay.
So the drillers, who are gonna be Underwood, are approximately 3 to 4 weeks out.
after that,
So once, well, you know, if everything goes well,
Yeah.
3 to 4 weeks after January 1st. Well, actually takes about 48 hours to get the report in, which I don't expect any problems. Another 4 weeks or so for Underwood.
the well site you find, was it pretty close to that depicted on the drawing?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, very much so.
So that's something we can talk to Sackman about, that, whether we have to buy the entire property or whether we can partition that off.
Yeah, I would say that we have a pretty good idea now where that is, because that map that I showed you, I can't remember what they called it, but the place where they popped is almost right where
But
that
what they
is.
said, okay. So we have a way that it's going in, the access, so we could tell Sackman then that if you don't wanna sell us this whole thing, from here up, you can have that property, we just wanna buy these 2
Yeah,
acres or 3 acres.
and we'll know that after the survey, so.
Yeah, exactly, that's
They're
what.
gonna come out and do the field work during the process of putting in the well, and then do the actual survey to follow.
Yeah, cause I don't wanna talk to her for sure until we know exactly
I
where
would
it
agree
is.
with that, I would agree with that. I think that what you've already done is grease the wheels for us to move forward enough that we can put this
Go
thing
do it,
in
yeah.
and do it.
Yeah.
What kind of money are we talking about with this property? I mean,
We don't
it's not
know
like,
yet.
She hasn't set a price.
And we haven't asked, I have not asked for a price,
How many acres is that?
for almost 5 acres. The property, I'm sure the cost of that property will be covered by the rescue funds, since we don't have to have piping coming down,
From the
Hoffman Road.
mile down
This is
the road,
Hoffman.
yeah.
so our tying into the system will be relatively
So we can just
inexpensive,
buy all the water.
right,
as opposed
yes.
to what we were looking
So
for.
the property we're talking
Right.
about is, and I can't.
So I
but
think
they
our
have,
cost
have
would
they
be
had that
So
property
we
for
need
sale
to
at
know
any
that
point?
No.
side there,
Okay.
They have not.
the main drag.
But they did
What's that
tell,
main
I
drag?
talked to Lydia, and she said they were willing to,
Um,
so they wanted to know if we would take less than them,
Is like right.
Less than a
less than
5?
5 acres.
Well, yeah,
But
we
we
would
know
take
there's
less
water
than
flying.
5.
If we can.
Well,
If-
Is that well
if-
site?
There
What
was
is
a
it
drag,
called?
and it was
It's
done
kind of,
there.
I'll show you the map
We
in
don't
the
know,
office.
and if there was water, we don't know
If
anything
it's,
about it yet. So it's because the operation's too old.
did they
If
charge us
it
for all that?
makes sense for them to subdivide it.
Right,
Will
right.
they?
If
Yeah.
not,
It's
we might have
smack
to buy
dab
the
in the
whole
middle
thing.
of the thing, yeah.
We may have to buy the whole
$12.
thing.
We'll have
and
an
then-
east
That
side
is
park.
to a tap and.
We'll have a park on the east side.
Exactly, okay?
Not right on.
Oh, you got the picture there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one that you have.
Yeah, just show that now. Don. Okay. All right, I guess next up, do we want to do this next, or do we want to do the gas cards first?
Whichever the gas card is probably pretty simple.
Yeah,
It's
that's what I'm
just,
thinking, yeah.
we could do the gas card first, which was Chief Shu had said as part of this whole emergency thing that currently the police department is issued Exxon charge cards for gas. And obviously,
Gas.
there's only a couple of Exxon stations in the area, so they're really tied into those stations. And he thought it would be, important to diversify out of that, and I agree with him. And I wanna go a step further to say that I don't even think we should have gas credit cards. I'd like to see just credit cards that we could get cash back or, you know, points for cash back on our spending, so that, there's no fees on these credit cards, we can set limits on the credit cards. There are various credit cards that, have different ratings and different amounts of cash back, some for businesses, some for not businesses. Now, I'm assuming a municipality would classify as a business, but I don't know that. If that's true, I think what we should do is look into getting credit cards for everyone. Obviously putting credit limits on it based on their usage and need, and apply the cash back to our balances.
Right.
So there are times that we could get, depending on the card, anywhere between, I've seen 2%. Now, what we've spent on all of our credit card purchases, not just gas, we're probably on pace for $40,000 total of credit card purchases for this coming year, for the fiscal
That's
year we're
everything.
in. For everything, right, so gas this year, gas this year so far for the 6 months is $8,100. So we can probably plan on 16,000 for gas. And then, right now it's a total of 20,000, so we can think of $40,000 of credit card type purchases. And if we can get cash back on that, it could be up to $800, so.
So let me ask you another question, if we're gonna get a credit card, what does the village use when they're, like, when Lisa purchases pool equipment or something?
They have a credit card, it's with First Bank right
Oh,
now.
okay, so, okay.
But I don't think it's got a cash, it doesn't have a cash back. If it does have a
It's
cash
very
back,
small.
we don't use it, as far as I know. It's not been used according to Sharon.
Okay.
So I wanted to first have a discussion with First Bank to see if they have, what they can offer us.
Yeah.
Because, you know, obviously, well, it's not even our biggest expense, both expenses are pretty significant, you know, whether they're gas or miscellaneous business purchases.
Yeah.
So, some of them give like 1% on everything, but I'd like to get a little bit better than that, if I could.
Yeah.
Try to get two.
Well, I'll do the best I
Yeah.
can, but
You
I
can always ask for
again,
5.
I can, I've done it before.
You don't ask, you don't get.
That's right. And I gotta hand it to you.
So,
Capital bid.
that's what I propose, and the chief didn't
Yep.
have a problem with it, so I'm gonna do a little bit of research on these, make some phone calls, see if, we can,
That's the deal.
what the best deal would be when you look at business purchases, especially gas, too.
Good, all right,
Yeah,
perfect.
'cause gas, when we get the new vehicle, then there'll be another vehicle, we got gas up.
Yeah,
So
but that's
more.
his responsibility down there.
We're
the new
probably
one.
gonna need, it's probably
it's
gonna be
still
about
all
five
money.
cards, I would, no, well, actually,
Okay.
it's gonna be about 7.
Well, but the 2 girls in here.
Right,
2.
and Jesse,
and
the
Je-
5 police,
8.
Jesse.
Jesse
and these 8 cards.
5, 6, 7.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think we were also talking to make sure they each get like an individual number.
Yes,
Yeah, that
oh,
would be-
definitely, yeah, there's.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and as far as the way it's run, I mean, I know the way we used to run the business card is if they can't produce a receipt for the purchase,
buy it.
they've gotta buy it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, I agree.
And that should
Gotta
be,
Yeah,
they've gotta be really responsible.
well, any company demands that,
Right.
so.
Yeah. Okay, any issues with moving forward on that? Okay. All right, we'll move to the next thing, which is,
Salary.
salary for the balance of this fiscal year. Just refresh everybody's memory back when we.
Let me just pass these
when
out to
we, I passed,
everybody,
I think, no, I didn't. You're right.
I didn't get one.
Didn't get one. I got it.
and that's, he's got
You got
one.
one?
I got one.
Yes.
When we did the budget last year, we knew we couldn't, go too far on the, payments, because we didn't know, we hadn't had an audited statement yet. So we said we would reevaluate at the end of the year, or not the end of the year, but the end of the end of the calendar year, which is halfway through the fiscal year.
Mhm.
So what Janice has done is put together, some numbers here that you all can see for each of the parties involved.
Now, I just wanna let you know that this is a worksheet that, it's the top half of the worksheet that I want you to focus on. The bottom half, I'm not sure of all the calculations, and they're really kinda meaningless at this point. But if you go down each employee, this is, what I did is I gave them in the salary, the 22, 23, the first column, that is what their salary would be with a 4% increase. And if you look all the way over to the right of the page, you'll see the 4% increase in the columns.
What the number is.
That's the number of dollars there.
That was what their 4% increase
Right,
would
right.
be. Now, we gave them 4% at the beginning of the fiscal
Right,
year.
yeah.
And I said, we would revisit it. Now, what we could also do, this is what we would look at adding close to $14,000 in our pay. Now, with Jesse, what we did is Jesse's got a pay adjustment coming up after 6 months, which would actually give him almost a 6% increase. So I'm not saying he's gonna get another 4 on top of the 6. This is just his change to the $18 an hour, not
Okay.
4%, not the 4%, it's actually 6% for him.
Okay,
So that's kinda he's doing a great job as far as I know.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And then we just wanna continue with what we had agreed to on that one.
Right.
So we're looking at $14,000. Now, this would be annually, it wouldn't be this year because we're halfway through the year, so it's actually less than that.
Be about half of that.
Now,
Yeah.
what I'd also like to propose, kind of like a cost of living adjustment, a one-time payment theory, where instead of increasing their pay 4% starting now, is perhaps to give them a dollar amount as a cost of living adjustment. A one-time payment, maybe it's gonna be January, we could do it January, February, we could do it anytime we wanted to.
I think if we go that route, I wanna be careful, and we don't pay it all up front. Because if we pay somebody up front and then they leave, we're out of luck. So maybe we split it up into 2 payments.
6 months.
Well, we
I'm
could.
not, I'm not too sure I understand what where you were going with that.
Instead of giving someone an increase, that their paycheck will increase, $50 a week, from moving forward from
Like
their
a cost of
increase.
living adjustment.
Correct.
Okay, instead
And
of doing that,
No, the
be
raise
it.
would be 4%, we're saying. This is one option, the 4% salary increase,
okay,
which would take effect on a given date,
okay,
which would be a small increase in their pay,
yep,
compared with a kind of like it would be a cost of living bump up, a one-time or two-time payment,
Yeah, bonus.
or a quarterly.
Or a bonus,
Even
bonus.
we could even do it at the end of each quarter, give them a bonus, cost of living adjustment almost, where we give them $500, and then
Or whatever the number
and then
is.
we can revisit the pay schedule, cause we have a revaluation coming up.
Yeah.
We've got, and as you can see, when you look at with this increase, okay, and you look at our total benefits,
Yep.
we're looking at almost $546,000. Our collected taxes are $750,000 as far as ad valorem tax.
Right.
So we're creeping up there on, a lot of our money is going to labor. Plus, you look at another huge dollar amount, which is almost $200,000 is going to the fire
And
department.
that'll be more too.
That's everything.
Yeah.
That's all our money.
That's everything. That's all the taxes we get based on property tax. So I think we just have to, and I believe our employees deserve a payment to try to keep up with some of this inflation stuff that we're going with. But if we do give them a 4% increase, that's an increase that will, it's a legacy cost that will continue.
In the next year.
well, of course, that's, cause the cost of living has gone up.
Yeah.
I mean, okay,
So, I'm just thinking that we don't want to raise taxes. I mean, if we say that all of our tax income is going to fire protection and salaries and benefits, we're gonna have to raise taxes. We don't have it, cause we only get another 300,000 from the state, maybe 350,000 from the state. And that's not enough to pay our expenses for the year, and put money away in reserves. So I think, what I would like to see is, well, I think it's one or the other. We can either give them an increase now, which they will benefit from through the year.
Well,
It's small.
if we give a bonus now, and not at 4%, what happens if inflation drops down to 5%? Say we're not gonna, I know it's not gonna
Come on,
happen.
come on,
I know it's
that's
not gonna
crazy.
happen, I'm just running across the board, okay?
All right, I'm sorry.
Well, could be a recession coming as well.
That's exactly right.
Yep,
You know, we don't know, and I think I'm just trying to be as cautious as we should be or can be, considering how much money administration is costing us.
Well,
And our tax base. Again, remember what our tax base is. We don't have $1 million in collected taxes that are coming into this town.
well, if we give them a bonus equal to a 4% increase,
Mm-hmm.
they're locked in at the regular pay they're getting now, but then we got some room to move later on. We're not increasing from the 4%, if we give them the 4% now, they're up here, and maybe we don't have to go higher than that
Right,
next year.
right.
So it's a toss-up, which way you go.
I just, again, not that I don't want to pay everyone more money, it's, we only have so much money to work with in this town based on the amount of taxes we're collecting.
Well, with our 8.7% inflation rate, it's pretty tough to keep our taxes the same as they were last year.
No.
It's gonna be tough.
And it's tough all
The
around.
mill rate,
And-
will come down, because the valuation's gonna go up on that houses, you know.
And that's the other unknown, is we
The other unknown
don't
is
know,
what
and
that'll
that's
be.
that's a big adjustment that could be coming, and does that mean that the fire rate goes down, or the dollars won't go down?
no.
But the tax, the amount per hundred will go
We'll
down.
go down, yeah.
But the dollars are still gonna be there, and same thing with this, the dollars don't change.
What are your thoughts, Janet? What are your thoughts?
It's a tough one. I mean, personally, if it was me, I would prefer the 4% increase. Getting that as opposed to the bonus. That's just me.
Well, it's cleaner, I think.
Yes,
Okay.
and tax-wise, in terms of, that's money that you're gonna be getting every month as opposed to waiting 6 months or whatever, or every quarter. I'm in more favor of the 4% increase and going that route, but again, I'm just one person.
Gary, your thoughts?
I'm trying to reconcile if we lose employees because we don't pay them enough.
Right.
What this is gonna mean to the village. So I think about
It
that.
always does, yeah.
Yeah, I think about that. I think about the assets that we have today and how valued they are. It's a tough one. I share Sharon's, or not Sharon, I share Janice's concern. But I think it's something that we need to think about doing. I'm just, as far as on the table, talk about if we can't afford to pay our labor costs.
We're not saying that.
Well, I'm just saying, well, we're pretty tight.
Yes, we
And-
are.
Very
and-
tight.
And,
Yes, we are.
and this is something that I don't know that I wanna make a call right now, but it's something I think we need to investigate. I think that for us to at least talk about how we could do this in a way that might keep within our budget, and what does that mean? What does that mean, that we pay more in taxes? I don't know how you can continue to raise your labor without at some point making some adjustment. And I don't necessarily, I hope what Don says happens, that things go down, but the cost of living goes down. I just don't see that as a possibility.
It won't happen quickly unless we have a huge
Depression.
a huge recession.
And I think,
And that's the only way it's gonna happen quickly.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't happen, it's going to be slow. I think it's gonna be slow.
Yeah, my-
And the only reason, to me, the only plus side to giving cost of living dollar amount is that it's a meaningful amount of cash right now.
Right.
It's not $200 or $75 a week. That's the only thing.
Correct.
And even splitting it up, even if it was split up, it would still be a larger amount of cash quicker, cause to get this 4%, this amount of money, that's 12 months worth of, that's a 12-month, it would take them 12 months to get the $2,000, compared to, what if we give them, a $750 cost of living adjustment in a check? I'm just saying, and then a few months later, give them another amount.
So,
It doesn't change their base salary, well, it does change their salary,
Yes.
but it doesn't lock in the legacy cost of,
so the next year they won't get it maybe.
Maybe.
So,
They're-
that's the
But
only thing
that's
I
every
get,
year, every
the only
year,
thing I get
yeah,
concerned about
yeah.
is that. But the other thing I was thinking about too is, I remember when we were talking about 4%, and it was like, we know that cost of living is twice that.
Yep.
And we're only talking about half of the cost of living, for
Right.
our,
For the first 6 months.
well, it's 4%. If we're talking about 4%, it's 4%, it's not 4% and then another 4%.
no, it is
Oh,
another
it is.
4%.
Oh,
It is.
it was, I thought it was 4%.
Oh, I thought it was 4% for the whole year.
That was what I understood,
No,
it was
no,
4%.
we gave them a 4% raise in July.
Oh, okay, that's
And
right.
revisited now.
We gave them 4% in
Already,
July.
so we're talking.
Okay,
another
so
four.
we'd be at another 4, and that's where the inflate 8%, okay.
Right.
Oh, I misunderstood that.
Okay,
No,
me
we
too.
gave them 4% in July.
Correct.
Okay,
We adjusted
Well,
it.
Okay,
And then,
For some
and then we said we would revisit it after we got all of our numbers from the state and
Okay.
all of our
Yeah.
income coming in.
Okay.
So,
okay.
so again,
Yeah, that's viable to me to consider that bonus, the lump sum, that you're talking about, as opposed to another 4%. But revisit again, with the understanding that in 6 months we revisit it again, right?
right, cause they're still getting the money, it's just not locked in
Right.
right now.
Yep,
okay,
And
Yeah.
so,
okay, I misunderstood that whole piece, so,
I can support that, Jan.
okay.
And I'm not in, I think we can do either way, I'm just trying to be the most conservative considering how much money we're spending on, and our employees, let me tell you, every single one of our employees does more than one job.
Oh, yeah?
Right.
And if, we've got people that do double duty, Sharon does, she does the water department, she does the finance, and Lisa's doing, zoning as well as,
Clerk.
the clerk, and those are two big jobs, though, and everybody is doing that, and Jesse is doing water and everything else we need him to do. And the police do the same thing, they really do work
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
extra.
we get our money's worth.
So I have no, I wish we had more money, let me put it that way. I wish we had more money to work with. And I just think that, if we give them a 4% increase starting now, it will be a slowly realized 4%.
Over the
Versus
whole
little
rest of the year.
little kick-ins as we go.
Yep.
So,
Yep, okay.
Okay.
So the impact is greater
Right now.
if we take it and
Someone
we do
said,
it
"Do you want
quarterly, we do
50
two quarterly releases.
do you want 50 cents an hour raise, or do you want $750? I think I'll take the $750. That would be me.
With the understanding that we're gonna continue to evaluate this, and if we need to, then we will continue the 750, right?
Well, we're saying that's what we're gonna do for the balance
For the
of this
balance.
fiscal year.
Right, okay.
Now, what happens next year is, you gotta remember, if we do that, their base salary will be based on not
No.
including
Correct.
this other money.
We go back to
What it is now.
what it is now,
Yeah.
right.
So it's the 4%
Right.
is what we're looking at, yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
So now that we have this understanding,
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
what is it that we wanna do? We'll get with you in a second.
Okay, I just want, I have I worked under a situation where we got rather than a percentage, you got cost of
Bonus.
living increase, just because, like you raise a percentage, I don't know if people's life insurance is based off their salary yet. If so, if you give them a percentage increase, then your cost of their life insurance goes up.
Everything goes up.
Right, and same thing, when you do the cost of living as a bonus, which I think people would much rather have a chunk up front. I managed a lot of people for a lot of years, and people are happy to get a bigger chunk than they are a little chunk over a long
Yeah.
period of time,
I
but,
would agree with you.
And we still have to make the pension, you know, we have, still
We
have to
still
do
have
the
other things.
matching,
We have
it's
still
still a
got to-
salary.
still got to-
That's still
So
an
we still
income.
have to match the
Yeah.
pension and all that, it's just not, we just don't have to do it as a legacy cost, it's as a
Correct.
one-time cost
Yeah,
for
right.
now. And
Right.
that doesn't, again, once we figure out our revaluation and our tax rates and our costs, you know, we can, so
Well,
anyway.
Apparently when people.
Bonus.
Bonus,
I'm going bonus now, yeah.
bonus or percentage?
I think bonus, because the employees will enjoy it more.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think that.
They'll see that $500 check
We'll
versus
set, we'll
50 cents.
set up the specific number.
I'll do that,
We'll do
as
that
far
with
as
specific
dates
numbers.
and
Do they
dates.
begin
done
it
on
in
2
January
releases.
or?
that's what we have to think of, I'm thinking it will be maybe the beginning of each quarter,
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of, like the first pay period of each quarter.
yeah, that's fine.
And see, and we've got it
We
would
got-
just be through June, the end
So
of
the
June,
next
so it would
quarter-
have to be two.
Our next
Only two
quarter
quarters.
is January.
Right.
Only 2
Checks,
quarters.
2 checks.
Right, so it would be January and March.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
okay.
So we'll set up the exact number and then we'll get that out to
Okay.
everybody.
And I think it's fair and, that our village residents understand where we're at in our margins. I
Yeah.
think almost, Janice, that should be every council. We
I've
should
been
have-
trying to
we
say
should-
it every council
Yep,
meeting.
we should have that so people understand that we can't continue this at the rate that we're going. At some point, we're gonna have to face it.
Well, I think people are buying groceries and travel expenses, they know inflation is high. And how can we keep operating a village if we don't raise some revenue?
Right, right, and we'll see what our
Nobody
revenue
wants to
numbers.
pay more taxes,
Right.
obviously.
Janice and I talked today, and I did a little research this afternoon
Yeah, I see that.
on what our tax rates are, our property tax rates are versus the rest of Moore County. And ours is the second lowest in the county
Mhm.
at this point. You know, and we're just about,
And what's our
what
population
the
compared
highest
to
one is.
everybody else?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
yep.
Well, yeah, Robin's 74, 0.74, because they have no valuation.
Right,
They
they
have-
have,
yeah.
right,
Their
Exactly.
expenses are.
Well, that's-
right,
Our problem with the 38 cents is because we don't have anything but residents.
right.
We have no
Pinehurst
business.
has all the business,
Yeah.
so they can get that lower percentage, but they're still
Right.
getting more money.
They also
can't-
have a lot of larger homes and they've got all
Yeah,
the golf,
much
they've
more,
got all
yeah.
Lot of
the
income
room,
coming
the
in,
room
yeah.
revenue and all of that.
I thought this would be good information to keep in the back of your mind when we start talking about this, because we're gonna be hearing a lot about it
Yeah,
as the new evaluations come out. and-
well, you know what, dollars and cents, if we aren't gonna raise taxes, then we have to cut expenses. And
we
we've
got
got
to lose
pool,
people.
we've got parks, we've got, you know.
Roads.
All sorts of
And
stuff.
see, the roads, non-negotiable, you gotta do that.
Yeah,
Pool,
You know, non.
Park,
yeah, I know, I have the biggest budget, I'm sorry.
Okay,
So,
I take up the most.
okay, so
So I will
we're on
work-
copacetic on what we wanna do.
Yeah.
Is that- Okay,
That's all we have.
let's move to police and fire.
Okay, police, we talked about the credit card. Our new police car will be here in January or February, should be in operation by the end of February. And there were no issues during the cold weather and all that windy weather, there was no issues there. Fire department, no problems in the village at all. They did have a 5-alarm fire in Robbins, our West End Fire Department was there for 11 hours. It was that industrial plant that makes trailer houses that burned down.
oh my God.
And then they had a 3-alarm home fire in High Falls, and they were there for 6 hours, I played that.
You know where that is?
Where's High Falls?
It's between Robbins and Carthage, but it's a little bit south, kind of like this here, it's just a small little bird.
I have seen that.
And then, the fire chief would like to come to our monthly meetings, which I think would be a good idea.
Certainly.
Yeah, so, he will be here.
You're more than welcome.
When he can.
Good,
Good.
So he can educate us, or we can educate him.
sure.
Yep.
So he wants to speak at our meetings?
He'll be like Chief Shu, he'll be
Okay.
here if he wants.
Oh,
to.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fine. Okay, anybody else have anything else you wanna do? Okay, public comments. We have any public comments from anybody? Please step up to the rostrum and identify yourself, please.
My name is Dan Leary.
And where do you live?
Well, I just bought a piece 73 North Shamrock.
Okay,
North Shamrock, okay.
I had two questions. On the generators, I think it's a good idea if you find funding or whatever where you could do all three, because your fire department's as important, if not more important than this particular. I mean, I realize you wanna have a place, that's what you're looking for, but if you could find something where, or something where maybe those two could jump off each other or something, but, 'cause
He has a generator
Oh, yeah.
down there,
Yeah,
but it's not hooked up, and we don't know how big it is or
Yeah,
whatever, you know how that goes.
Exactly, so, and the other thing is, the ordinances, I heard you guys say they're easy to, I looked to find about a detached garage, and I found everything else but a garage. I found sheds and, you can't, and I asked, I think it is Lisa, yeah. And she gave me the site to go to, but it was not a friendly site that
Well,
I don't
yeah,
disagree with
search, if you don't search for the right words, you're right, because I don't think they call it a detached garage, I think they call it a.
Accessory building.
Accessory
Accessory
building.
building.
Accessory.
Yeah, you're right, if it doesn't say specifically detached garage,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because I got to accessory buildings, but I just never could find
yeah.
those words somewhere, so.
It's kinda like chickens, if you didn't do fowl, you
Yeah,
might have
yeah.
missed chickens.
Yeah.
Don't even bring up chicken.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
let that
And,
go.
the other thing, this is just me from being and running the business myself, that, gas cards, I don't know if sometimes the percent back, whether your rate is higher, your interest rate. If you pay it every month or whatever.
We
then it's
pay
not
it.
really-
We
Yeah.
paid
yeah.
We paid
Yeah,
everyone.
so
Okay, so
that won't matter.
then-
Yeah, yeah.
That was my
Yeah,
only
it's a good point, Phil.
other thing. Like I said, just going back with the salary thing, another thing with that 4%, well, then that raises their salary for the next time. So if you tell them I can't give you a salary increase, you're not gonna have a happy person.
Yeah.
So if you give them the bonus of cash, people like to have that little bit of cash. And then next year, if you do go like
See
say
what happens.
2% instead of
Yeah.
whatever, it just, cause I know in my last years, after I sold my business, I went to work for someone and I actually had a salary, but my raises every year, the majority of them were cash payments because my life insurance and everything else is based off my salary.
Mhm.
So if they put that in your salary, well then all the costs go up, and they were smart enough, that's the first time I ever saw that, but they're smart enough to do that. You're happy to get that kind of money, but
Yeah.
at the same time, they're cheating you on the other end anyway, Just, I know in this kind of thing, you gotta keep your costs down, because you can't, like you said, you can't keep raising taxes, you gotta do what you gotta do to get your funds, but
Right,
Yeah.
right.
it's a fine line.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
Certainly is.
Well, thank you, folks.
Thank you, welcome to the village.
Yeah, welcome. Did you literally just move in here shortly?
Yeah,
That's welcome.
8 weeks ago.
Well, thank you for coming.
Did
to
you
the
get a
meeting.
welcome packet yet?
I don't think so. I've been here a few times, but
Better give him one,
I've been trying
Can't
to.
have this one,
and a license plate.
this is mine.
I've been trying to.
Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I'll make that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting is adjourned.